15 speakers said what we must do in the average. We can only say how we can do part of what we have to do. I'm possibly repeating something which, anyhow, I didn't understand about my responsibilities in the past. I've been an underwriter with Swiss Re, the Italian company of Swiss Re, which was Unione Italiana di Assicurazione, for nearly 30 years. When I left Swiss Re, I had, at that time, underwriting authority for a number of countries, including Europe, USA, Canada. After this experience, I joined an Italian broker for a short period because the president of ISVAP at that time, Mr. Giannini, needed somebody to set up a system for organizing the transmission of data about reinsurance, which in Europe was one of the first situations, absolutely first situations. It took us 3 years, no, not 3 years, 1 year to launch the program, 3 years to establish it, but in that time, during that time we did receive regularly data from the companies. We then adjusted the method of submission of data, and then we came out with a final system which is operating since 2006. At a given point, EIOPA, which at that time was working with the subgroups for introducing the quarterly reinsurer reports, came to know that we had such a system in place, and so I joined subgroup 3, which was headed by a French gentleman at the time, Banque de France, and not alone, obviously, but with the help and support from France, Denmark, Netherlands. We succeeded in exporting the Italian system into EIOPA, and the substance, the quality of the quarterly reinsurance reports, as they will have to be provided next year, at least next year, is substantially over 90% of the Italian structure, both in terms of data and method of now, you have various aspects here. Importance of the insurance grew under the Solvency II. Such to render an absolute must to take benefit of automation as opposed to manual management. And this is something that the product X-Layers can offer. It's totally automated once the portfolio are loaded into the system. Another aspect which is essential to respond to the needs of Solvency II is data certainty, which is again very important if you think to the to the quantity, the quality of information which is needed for preparing internal models, or even for USP, for undertaking specific parameters. And this again is offered by X-Layers. On the contrary, managing reinsurance data, which in some cases might be very heavy in terms of understanding, of transmission, of accounting, of consideration into the balance sheet may give rise to bad situation and spoil somewhat the image of the company or of the management if the companies have to change and provide adjustments to their data. Which problems do we have if we manage reinsurance in a traditional way, which means without a specific tool? We have to prepare queries and Excel tables, which might be very complicated, very difficult to check. And in case of changes, it's very difficult to be sure that this change is really effective for what is needed. Some companies do have in-house developed systems. They have devoted their efforts to develop these systems, which are not always fully reliable, but created to respond to immediate needs, counting on the continuous maintenance of the internal IT department. There again, if just think of people moving from one company to another and to the sensitivity to the quality of the data that might be exported. There are other products, old competitive products, which were existing already before the introduction of the new regulations, but that during the time have not been updated, which may face a number of difficulties in being updated. Here we have a number of risks that you may face in managing reinsurance during the year. One is risks or aspects that must be considered when managing reinsurance. One is compliance. Okay. And C Consulting and X Layers can offer a complete coverage of all the needs for both the Italian, which is not of interest in this session, but also for international business. The system is totally auditable, which means that somebody who wants to go and see a regulator or firms that have to give certification to what is being provided can easily access and audit the system. Gives ability to prevent mistakes because can offer a continual possibility to monitor. I mean, once you make a change, I mean, if you realize that you have you inserted in the wrong way a commission or whatever data of the reinsurance, you can rerun the system and check and verify it, and it's very easy and very quick, very fast. All data are coded and can be extracted very simply because they respond to a unique code. Another possibility which is offered by the system is the rating information. This, in the present experience, it is directly linked to the database of IVAS, which is being updated regularly for mergers and acquisitions, for changes of property of ownership, and the only burden of the company there is to insert the rating consideration that has been effected at the time of effecting the placement. This also gives another possibility, which is, I'm sorry, that was again referred to the previous point. This gives a possibility to monitor during a year, at any time, what is the credit situation of a given reinsurer or of a given group. The point that I already had moved on is the profit and loss balance sheet. This system is so immediate that can offer you the possibility to effect fast closes, which means that if you need to know, you still miss 1 month both in direct and in reinsurance. So without need to issue the accounts, you can produce what is already in charge, what has been already charged to the system, make an assumption for the remaining part, and produce an advanced, fast closing. And it renders very simple producing reports, especially in the case of groups or parent companies, anyhow, which are requested continuously. And one of the most important features of the system is that through a built-in system which is accessible from X layers, you can mention business objects, for example, you can produce reports in the way they are needed by the parent company. And automation, which is the most important, one of the most important aspects, again, the cost reduction. C Consulting. C Consulting started the activity in 1999, so 6 years before the introduction by IVAS, by ISVAP then, IVAS after that, of the new system for reinsurance, and then developed very, very fastly. Has devoted 100 man years in development, 30 persons are dedicated to reinsurance aspects, and at present more than 50 clients are more than happy to have to make use of X layers. Why that? Because of the continuous use of experts, the ability to be very quick, very fast, and to deliver in a short time, and reliability. A small company with very little changes in the structure and ownership. It's also, thanks to this attention, it's also capable of resolving any sort of new issues in reinsurance in Italy and international market. And this is due to the fact that the clients are very active with C Consulting. All the clients do contribute with their suggestions, with their requests. They form part of 2 yearly meetings where they make their requests, their suggestions, and normally the first 2 or 3 requests from the companies which use X layers are accepted by X layers and introduced on normally on a free basis. So it's a software that it's developed constantly. And the good thing of this is that all these implementations are distributed to all the companies who are already clients of C Consulting. At present, the presence on the market is, as I said, with more than 50 companies, 53 for the time at present, I think, with 10,000 treaties pieces managed, 80,000 validity periods, 40,000 facultative insurers, 12,000 accounts, but these figures do not say anything. We cannot obviously make any sort of longer presentation here with this system because it would be long for this session, but in case of interest we can organize meetings at your place and in a couple of hours be able to explain and illustrate all the ins and outs of the system. This is very quickly how the X-layer structures works. It can look after the portfolios of various companies at the same, within the same system, which means that you can, in case of acquisition of a company, you can load the profiles and you can manage them as a single company or a unique company. Then it makes the insurance allocation, provides the technical accounts. Obviously, it includes the sending of the accounts, the sending of loss claims advices. It can provide any sort of simulation, produces financial accounts, gives evidence about remittances and statistics with the tools that we have illustrated before. This is a list of the companies, be it individual or in group, that are already clients of X-layers. There is a very recent acquisition, which is Adriatic Slovenica. The other companies are within the most important groups in Italy or single companies in Italy. It's just two words to conclude, that by using X-layers you could have all the data necessary to manage the insurance for both accounting purposes and providing information in only one system. In addition to the aspect of the error-free characteristic that we envisaged before, something else is offered by X-layers when managing reinsurance, which is the following aspects have to be highlighted, because EIOPA is now asking for insurance data reporting organized on a very structured basis for the first time. Italian companies are doing this since 2006, and many companies are using X-layers and XISVAP. XISVAP is a routine built in the system which prepares the automatic transmission of data to the authority in the format requested by the authority. It's now nearly 10 years that IVAS receives data basically with the format now required by EIOPA. And as I said, it's nearly 90%, in excess of 90%. In my experience, which went up to 2013, companies that provide data using X-layers and XISVAP have done it with excellent performance compared to other systems. One must consider that one of the features of the IVAS system is the automatic loading. It's a very looking forward system, in the sense that companies do send in the format requested by IVAS a file, which is a complete file. If the system doesn't find errors, it's automatically loaded. And in the last years, it's been really a good success, because very few cases within the frame of those used by X layers, which adopted the same system, very limited number of cases were for minimal adjustments. I already mentioned the user group. That's it. Thank you for your attention.